So basically, just wanted to get everyone caught up. As you saw before, I had thermaled everything, chiseled the edges. Now I've brought the caps to the job site. I've placed them on the wall so they're just sitting on there right now loose. And I need to make a couple adjustments, I guess you could say. Because obviously when I cut this stone, I kind of cut it at an angle like that. So I got a wide joint, so I'll come back in, use the saw. Now that I have everything set where I want, just basically run the saw. Like for example, that joint's freaking awesome. And most of these are pretty good. I have my overhang. The end one here is good. I mentioned before, I kind of made that a little long. And what was going on here is like, I'm gonna take this one here and I'm gonna run it all the way down there. So that big one is gonna sit here and overhang like this. So that I actually made too long. So I just have to cut off and basically make that 24.5 inches and have the overhangs on this, which is really nice. The next thing I'll do, once I kind of get everything adjusted with the joints, with the saw, and everything sitting, then I'll go back and make other adjustments. For example, this, right there you can see the daylight. So it's sitting high on this corner over here, in there, and then it's sitting high. The stone itself actually curves. It's sitting high over on this end. So I'll just take the diamond cup grinding wheel. Let me show you what that looks like here. You can use the 7-inch, or this is the 4.5. This is a DEWALT diamond cup. I'll put that in the description. I really like this. And then typically, have the dust collector also, which I'll hook up to that. So these are just about ready to go. The other thing I'd mentioned about the level is I like to take my level. This is about 2.5 inches. So I'll take it and basically just put it underneath the cap. And that's kind of like my edge. And I like that. It's a nice 2.5 is a really nice overhang. Gives a little bit of depth to the wall. It really makes it nice. Now, this client we spoke with, because they have nieces, we're going to put some N-type mortar on these just to make sure and secure the fact that, they don't rock. Normally I don't do that, but because of security and safety comes first. So the N-type mortar is really nice. Just put a little bit of that in there, and it just keeps the potential for a child running on it, which kids love to walk on walls from these caps falling off. Now, normally what I'll do is I'll spend a lot of time and just really try to grind my surfaces down so I have really, really good points of contact. And by doing that, really nothing's going to go anywhere. So that's normally what I do, and that works out good. But the client requested that definitely be done once again, because this is a seating wall and there are children in the area. So we're just going to take those extra precautions. And that is a practice that is used with the Dry Stone Walling Association. You can find that in the practical handbook. And just wanted to kind of share and get an update where I'm at and where things are going. Thought I'd show you really quick what this looks like once you kind of tighten these up. So basically that one's tightened up. Now, of course, the reality is I haven't really adjusted anything underneath, and once I do that, I might have to obviously come back and readjust those joints. So the ones obviously with water, this one here, got that nice and tight, and then got this one cut off. So next I can set that one once I chisel a face, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of running out of oxygen, so I just kept on thermal in the face because I didn't have time to go and chisel it. I was worried I'd run out. So I got that all wrapped up. I'll come back and chisel it. But you can chisel it before, chisel it after. If you chisel it before, you're not having to thermal as much surface, which is nice. So let me go ahead and get these guys set and keep going. Next thing I wanted to talk about is, once I've saw cut everything, I like to basically chisel or try to match my size. So for example, like right here, I took my tracer and I just kind of went in like this to knock this up, just to get these surfaces more uniform. Next, I like to try to take and just lightly tap where the saw mark is on the top also, to clean that up So it just looks a little bit more natural, and it also hides the saw mark a bit if there's some inconsistencies in the actual cut. Now I can do the same thing too on the front and on the bottom of stones. So like, you know, like right here that kind of dips in, but see this matches nice and even. This right here kind of, it's equal here, but this right here, so I just took that up, and then I also came in right here and just to try to get this line here across, and then I also went in here just to bring that around, so it just looks a little bit more uniform. So that's a traditional, just straight up saw cut. This section I started working already right here, but that's what the saw cut is. Now you can also, as I said, kind of do that on the fronts too, in case you have to try to match your edges, you know, on the faces. So basically same thing, try to do this. This one here was really tall, so you can see all the areas I kind of worked at. It just had a high spot in general, but I wanted to try to match this. So same thing, just kind of came in, worked that down. This one, same thing, it was tall right here on this edge. Just try to, when you get them close, like like this, just visually it looks more consistent with the overall plane of the stone visually. So everything's pretty much set. Next I'll basically be going in, and now that I have everything exactly where I want it, I'll be taking everything and now setting them on a little bit of bed of lime type mortar. These are the finished caps. Got everything chiseled, everything lime mortared and set. And also, as I'd mentioned before, talking about when doing these chisels, chiseling your edges, also, you know, chisel the fronts. So it just gives a little bit more natural look for the most part. And then this last section here, I saw cut because that was extra out, so that will be thermaled on site, and then also the other end we'll thermal that on. I'll thermal that on site too. Actually, the client's gonna give it a try. So this is a 24-inch. Actually, it's a little taller. It's about probably 26 inches. But once I put the grid system down on the ground, pretty much put it about 24 inches. The wall itself is actually 2 feet wide, and the capstones are actually 19, and then I have an overhang of 2.5 inches. And on average the caps are about 2.5 to roughly 3 inches thickness, and everything does kind of slope out a little bit, so any rain hits them, it'll just basically run off. Now that I've finished up the wall, I'm coming back and just finishing up these two ends with the saw cuts, cleaning them up with doing the thermaling. The client was tied up at the moment, so I went ahead and got these both knocked out. In the next video, we'll show the finished project along with the True Grid product, and I'll explain that, so stay tuned for that. Also, I'm including the videos from the previous videos on this specific project, so take a look at those if you've not seen those already. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, we'd really appreciate it if you would. We specialize in dry laid stone. And also, if you'd like to leave a comment, we will respond. We want to thank you again for your time and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.